You can probably tell that I'm quite tired, but I'm really excited. This is what crunch mode looks like for me. Worked so hard for that chapter. It's gone entirely in the bin. Hello everyone, welcome back to another writing vlog. Today is May the 3rd and I am currently working on draft 6 of Project Teacup. I'm up to the last like 10 or so chapters. So it's been a very interesting time. I think the last vlog that I filmed was like my cozy autumnal vlog and I was working on chapter like 23 or chapter 25. I can't even remember what chapter I was working on in that vlog. And everything was going really well and I was really happy. And what has happened in between those chapters and now has been a lot of hard work and it's been really tough, and basically I just stopped vlogging it because I just didn't want to spend like my vlogs whinging about how hard I was finding it. And I've been working really long hours on the book and I think I've just been doing like 4,000 word days, 5,000 word days, and I'm really trying to get through the end of this book. I really wanted this to be done in March. April went past, we're now in May. I want this book to be done and I want to send it off to my literary agent. I am genuinely though, despite my stress, despite how tired I probably look, I'm really happy with where the story is going. I've also been able to include a couple of like cool new settings that I otherwise wouldn't have been able to include. So I mentioned this over on Patreon. I do a lot of like writing updates and bonus content and little snippety things over on Patreon. I was able to include this really cool scene at a setting that I knew existed in this world, but I just didn't have a reason to set anything there. And it's this cool like magical post office, and there's this whole system. It's like this really like tall building, and I've gotten the opportunity to include some cool new places in this city, and that is really making me happy and I'm really enjoying that. I have like 10-ish chapters or so. These are supposed to be the easy edits. Like I'm through the big tough difficult edit. Like I reworked a lot of the middle section of this book. I'm up to the last quarter of the story and I don't really have very much feedback to work with because no one really had anything critical to say about the end of the story. My agent said like we'll chat about the story after you've done the edits on the middle. However, I now have things I want to change about the ending, that things I want to tweak, little bits about the pacing. So that's what I'm going to kick off with. It's early morning. I just had to get up and buy tickets to this thing in Japan, and half of the website was in Japanese, and I freak out during ticket buying situations anyway when it is in English, but this website was like 60% in Japanese, and so I'm just like, I'm still shaking a little bit from the stress of trying to get tickets and not buy the wrong thing. You can see the washing in the background. This whole pile is clean washing, which has not yet been put away. I haven't slept in a week. This is what crunch mode looks like for me. Part of me wishes that my brain did not work this way and that I could just like juggle things in a more sustainable way, but I'm at the end of the story. I'm really locked in and concentrating. I'm tired, but I'm proud and I'm happy. Let's kick off the rest of this vlog and we can finish draft 6 of Project Teacup. It's not even cold really, but I'm probably just gonna bring my coat just in case because I kind of want to sit outside. The thing about Adelaide, which is really interesting, is that it's so deceptive as to how cold it's gonna be on a general day because the wind is really cold here. Because we're at the bottom of the world, it's like the penguins from Antarctica are just flapping the cold winds this way. I've got my coat, I've got this mess, wallet, phone, don't need nasal spray. Of writing that I do where I'm trying to get a lot done, but the writing is quite a bit slower. Like I edited 2 chapters yesterday. I did chapter 33 and 34. I'm now doing chapter 35, and I don't know if you guys will remember, but I think there was a vlog that I did. Maybe I didn't even vlog it, I can't remember. There was a point last year where I was working on a chapter that ended up being chapter 35, and it was like the hardest chapter I've ever written, and I remember spending like 5 hours straight in the library. And you know that if I'm spending that much time in the library, I am desperately trying to make myself concentrate, because those chairs, I love going to the library, but the chairs are not comfortable, and so like if I'm there, it's because I'm struggling. And what is absolutely bonkers to me now is that that entire chapter is being thrown out. Like this chapter I'm now writing now is going to be that chapter but rewritten, because I've changed where the story has gone for the ending. And so it's kind of funny because I worked so hard for that chapter last year, and now it's gone entirely in the bin. That is absolutely fine though, that's just the nature of how these things go. I now have chapter 35 to work on. Chapter 36 and 37 are difficult chapters, but there's not a lot that's going to change. So they're big chapters, they're going to be a lot of effort, but there's not heaps of changes. And then the final few chapters and the epilogue shouldn't be that difficult. So really we only have a couple days left of work, and then I need to print it and then I need to reread it. Hello, today is Tuesday, it is just past midday. I've been going over chapter 34, 35 and 36, just making sure that all the edits I did are kind of like properly balanced and the pacing is good. I haven't added in any mistakes. I've been tweaking the dialogue. I know that I have a tendency in my like first initial drafts to have dialogue that is like not quite as concise as it could be, and so I know that that's one of the things that I need to look for when I'm writing, to make sure that my dialogue has the compression that it needs. When you're rewriting chapter 36 for like the 4th time but you're adding in new lines of dialogue, it can still be easy to make those like sort of silly small errors, and so I just sort of like went back and change those. And when I say I'm working on draft 6 of this novel, like it's not just like one pass of the novel. Like I will write the chapter, rewrite the chapter, do whatever I need to do to the chapter, and then I'll probably go through it 2 or 3 times in total, like on the draft. Like after I'm done with the write through of this, which I'm getting really close on, I'll print it, I'll go through it, I'll do my last final tweaks, but that process should be reasonably quick. I'm now on chapter 37, which is really exciting. Chapter 37 and chapter 38 are probably the last 2 difficult chapters with the most stuff to change, and so it kind of feels as if I only have one last big kind of push with this novel and it's finished and it'll be done. And I found myself actually getting a bit excited that we're almost at the end. Very exciting stuff. I'm now just working on chapter 37. There are some problems that I solved, however, in chapter 36, and so maybe chapter 37 doesn't need to be quite as long as I had originally intended, because with this particular part of the conflict there's no point in me rehashing certain things, because if I do, then it's just going to weigh down the story and make it feel slow. Fingers crossed I can get a decent chunk of 37 done. Now though, I'm pretty happy with the last 3 chapters. I was nervous because I was worried that they weren't paced right, but having now gone back over them, I feel pretty confident, which is great. So yes, let's work on chapter 37, and hopefully I can get a chunk of it done. We have a live show that we're going to tonight. We're going to a band called Tesseract, but they're going to be at Lion Arts, which is a pretty small venue. I did a few work events there when I worked in the arts, and it's very pretty. Like it's got some really nice like red brick. I did this project where I live streamed this award ceremony for the organization I worked for, and it was at Lion Arts, so it's a little bit of a nostalgic venue for me. Chapter 37, 2/3 of the way done, feeling really pleased about it. I had some specific things about the ending that I was worried about in draft 5, and I very much feel like I've tackled all of those things. I'm thinking very carefully about how I tie up all these little threads at the end without dropping anything. You know, I can't forget that this character was doing this thing at this point on, you know, page 200 and something. I need to really be aware of all the myriad moving parts here. And also I've been doing some really long work days recently, trying to fit my content work around the writing stuff, and so it's been pretty long work hours, which means that my brain just feels a little bit fried. I have a meeting tomorrow morning kind of early, so I need to make sure I'm up for that. But we do have this live show tonight. I don't know if you can hear me from over there. This is my final outfit. It's like 20 degrees outside. It's not cold. This should be fine. So I just have loafers, trousers, my Sleep Token shirt, and this one red cardigan that I bought in Tokyo 5 years, and I love it to bits, and it's so synthetic, but it's such a nice shape and color. Anyway, let's go to this live show. Hello, it is Wednesday. I just finished chapter 37, so I've been doing a whole bunch of work stuff today. It's like 4 p.m. I just sat down, I managed to finish chapter 37, and I'm really happy with it, and I'm really excited because this was the last difficult chapter. This was the last chapter which had a lot of changes to it, and so the last few chapters that I have to work on are all going to be much easier, and so I think that maybe this book might be finished tonight. If I can buckle down and get it done, it might be finished tonight, which is so incredibly exciting. And also a bit of a relief because we leave to go overseas pretty soon, and I have like a whole bunch of stuff I need to get done, work stuff I've been neglecting. I have a meeting early tomorrow morning. So I really needed to get this done. And so chapter 37 is done. I had this character who ended up with an outcome to the situation, which is actually much more tragic and gothic and creepy in the end, which is kind of a shame because I really liked this character. So I'm sad that I wrapped up their story in this particular way because I liked them, but the change that I made ended up making their story feel like the wrap up of their story a lot more weighty, and like there were a lot more consequences to their actions and consequences to what they did. So I was sitting there like writing this like creepy stuff, and it's just like, oh, I'm really pleased with it. And a tragic, creepy end for them, and I'm so excited by it. I'm excited by the whole thing. I so hope that you guys get to read this atmospheric, gothic, 1920s inspired story. Like there's so much here that I love, and there's so much here that I'm proud of. As I've said it again and again, it's a character story. It's a story predominantly about these two women, and you know, it's a master and apprentice story. It's about learning magic. It's about so many different things that I love, and I'm extremely excited. I'm very jazzed that chapter 37 is now done. I'm gonna buckle down. Chapter 38 is about 2,000 words. Let's see. 2,866 words, not 28,000. I'm hoping to cut that down just a little bit. You can probably tell that I'm quite tired, but I'm really excited and really happy about this. And yeah. It is Thursday morning, it's about 9:20. I just finished a work meeting. I have a whole bunch of work stuff to do today. I already went for a walk with one of my best friends this morning, and we came really close to finishing the book last night. And it was about midnight, and I was like, I need to stop now. I know I'm getting up early tomorrow. Hopefully tonight we can finish it and be done and print it off and do the final reread and do the final little tweaks and send it off. We are so very close now. For sure, this has been the most difficult draft of a book I've ever written. I've had to dig really, really deep with this just from the perspective of my writing and what I'm doing and how I'm problem solving things, but also because it's been a really stressful few months. I had to push through a lot of stuff to make time to work on this book, you know, to make time for it around my work, and it has been a really challenging few months for me, but the book's almost done and I'm very, 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 very proud both of the book and of myself for getting this task done. I have a full work day of stuff today, and then tonight after work I'm gonna finish this book. Hello and welcome to our Airbnb in Tokyo. I'm coming to you from a very cozy context right now because it is bucketing down with rain outside. It is the rainy season in Tokyo. We kind of booked this trip a little bit last minute, like we booked it several months ago, but basically we got a deal on the flights. We basically used flight points, we found a cheap Airbnb, we're here hanging out in Tokyo. It was, however, despite this being a little bit of a last minute trip, the plan was never to finish the book here. I had planned originally to finish this book back in March. So if we're looking back at the timelines of this, I got my agent in December of last year. January, I was really burnt out at the end of last year. I really needed a break. So I took a very short break in January, tried to come back to work, and, you know, obviously was like doing like all of my like content creation work and was trying to like fit the book around that. I got really sick in January, end of February, start of March, we had a trip, and then I got really sick again. And so obviously I had to prioritize my proper job, which actually earns money, which of course like writing like doesn't really, like a little bit, but it's not the main part of my job. It's not what pays my rent, right? So I had to prioritize my like actual work. And so originally I had this plan of basically like just tweaking the book and getting it done in like maybe January or February, and then I was like, no, it's fine, I'll definitely get it done in March. And then April came, and then May came, and I kind of just realized that the book needed more work than I really realized. Like I was like, it's okay, it's fine, it just needs to be tweaked. But it turned out that the book actually needed quite a bit more than just tweaking. And I have this ridiculous method of working where I, at the moment when I'm editing a novel, I will just not start the book again, but I will write everything from scratch. Like I'll take like chapter 15 and I'll be like, all right, here's the old chapter, here's the new chapter, and I just write a new. I'm writing from scratch, but it's not really writing from scratch because I knew what was there before, if that makes sense. I'm not tweaking the words that were already there because I kind of feel if I do that, I'm too confined to the original words. And I feel that, like, say for example, if I have, you know, a paragraph that's 300 words words long. I feel like if I write it from the beginning, I can write it at like 150 words, you know, like the compression is going to be so much better, like the problem solving is going to be better. It is a quite frankly ridiculous way to work because it takes a lot of time. And I think with this draft of the story, I was kind of operating from the perspective of having been given the feedback of 6 different literary agents. You know, when we went through the whole journey of querying this story, I got such vast feedback on Project Teacup. You know, I had one agent who said, start again entirely, the book isn't good enough, it's a mess. He didn't say it was a mess, but there was an implication there. And then I had, like, on the other end of the spectrum, agents who were saying, it's perfect, it's almost ready to go, like, you don't really need to do anything, we can submit it in like January. And then the agent I ended up going with obviously had edits, but it was all, you know, things that felt really aligned with the story and things that I really agreed with. There were, however, some big structural edits there in terms of simplifying some of the conflict and changing 2 of the characters' character arcs. There were a few little things where my agent said, oh, I'd like to see more of maybe this particular dynamic, and so I kind of like went through and problem solved. And so it was such a beautiful challenge to be given my literary agent's notes and then to decide how I wanted to interpret them and what I did want to listen to and didn't want to listen to. I love working with feedback. Like it's amazing to finally have an agent, to finally have like an industry professional to talk to about this story, because when you're writing and you're not agented and it's not something that's getting published, like if you don't have an editor, like you're just by yourself, and it's really, really nice to have that feedback. I think I probably rewrote like 70% of the story over the course of maybe like 2.5 months or maybe 3 months. I'm not really sure now because, you know, so much of it I was sick and so much of it I was not even really working on it because I had so much other work to do. Yeah, I'm really, really proud of this guy. In the end, I think this version, so this like printed out version before I did the copy editing stuff, I think this is 117,000 words. And you guys like ask all the time, like, why do I mention word counts so much? Why do I pay so much attention to word counts? The reason why is that this book is huge. I ended up paring back draft 6 to 110,000 words. So that's like 7,000 words basically that I cut over the last couple weeks. It has been a slog getting through this draft of the story. It's definitely the hardest I've ever worked on a draft of a book. This story is really complex from a narrative perspective, and it's a really emotional book. It draws on a lot of things that are quite depthy for me, and so it was a really hard draft to write. But also without like oversharing, it's been a really hard 6 months for me. Like ever since the beginning of the year, so many things went wrong this year, and so I kind of just really threw myself into writing this book, and I poured myself into the book, and so it's been a really kind of emotionally stressful time. And I've tried to not hide that from the vlogs, but I've been finding making videos quite challenging over the past 6 months because I don't want to harsh the vibe or anything, and I don't want to whinge and complain. And to summarize all of that, I am so thrilled that the story is done again, and I'm happy and I'm exhausted, and I'm so excited now to take a step back, to spend some time refilling the creative well. You know, it's been really lovely here in Tokyo to just travel and like disconnect from social media. You know, I haven't posted anything. We've been here for like 2.5 weeks and I haven't even posted, no one even knows we're here. I haven't posted to Instagram, I haven't done anything. Obviously just like stepped back from work, and it's been nice to hang out with friends and potter around on this story. I am, to be honest, a bit creatively burnt out, but I'm very excited to slowly come back to Project Spiegel Tent, which is my gothic circus story that's set in the modern world. Really, I'm just excited to get to Spiegel Tent because I think that's going to be a much shorter, easier story. I have no idea how easy that book's going to be, but this was almost unnecessarily difficult for me to write. And again, just thank you guys so incredibly much for being here, for supporting this channel, for supporting this journey. It's so lovely to have you along with me for the writing of this book. Also, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to everyone over on Patreon for supporting my channel. I post little writing snippets over there. Whenever I get good news, Patreon is the first place I go to post it. We have our book club, we have a private Discord channel, there's a whole bunch of stuff over there. So if you want to support my work and get some bonus content from me, please feel free to check out Patreon. Take care, everyone. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.